5 recap show this morning. We are here, of course, for the Week 5 pregame show. And as well as always, if you are on Facebook, please make sure you like and share this broadcast. If you are on our Facebook page, go ahead and hit that like button. If you are on our YouTube page, go ahead and hit that red subscribe button, and as well as that notification bell so you can be notified for shows like this one in the future. And as well, if you are on Twitter or X, go ahead and hit us up on Periscope at X Talking Ish. I'm going to as well retweet everything on my personal page at X Williams or X underscore Williams 81. Other than that, of course, welcome back to another very special week of the NFL slate of football. Just due to we have another, of course, game overseas. The London Jags, as we like to call them, decided to stay, of course, over the pond to play a back-to-backer against now the Buffalo Bills. They are at halftime at the moment. The score is 11-7. Was not expecting a low-scoring game for that game. I was kind of expecting a little bit more points comparison to the game prior, the week prior with the Falcons. But hey, that's why you go out there and go play the game. You just never know what's going to happen. All righty then. With that being said, we know why you guys are here. We are here to discuss the Sunday slate of games here for Week 5. And, of course, the Monday Night Football game we'll save for tomorrow. First things first, let's go ahead and just pretty much follow up a little bit from this Tottenham hosted game here for the Jags and the Bills. Looks like a lot of passing yards all around the yard, ball being thrown around, just the ball not being placed in the end zone to capitalize, put some points on the board. At the moment, looks like Trevor Lawrence is 16 for 23, 192 with a tuggy. And Josh Allen is 13 for 18, 116 with a tug as well. Both quarterbacks looks like they're playing well. Since I do have kids, I didn't get a chance to go to bed till a little bit later on this last night, so I didn't get a chance to actually watch this game right now. I actually just woke up about 20, 30 minutes ago. So once we get done with the show, I will, of course, finish up with the end of this game and see what goes on there. And I do apologize if you guys hear some baby screaming. That's definitely my son. He's a little hungry, but he will be getting fed soon. At the moment, Ish and I did pick the Bills to win this game. Looks like the Jaguars do what they do best when it comes to going overseas. They're playing scrappy, and they do, for whatever reason, feel as though that's their second home away from home. They do some home cooking over there. So even though they are the away team for this game comparison to last week when they were their home team, it seems like they are a lot more comfortable over there comparison to the Bills at this moment. But still 30 more minutes left to go in that game, so we'll see how that game all pans out. Let's go ahead and move on to another AFC South divisional matchup. Of course, two rivals that have been going at it for the beginning of time here in the AFC South. Fun fact about this matchup, the Titans have actually a 5-game winning streak over the Colts, which is actually the longest in franchise history. That just goes to also show you the dominance that the Colts used to have over the Titans at one point in time. The script has been flipped, and the Titans at the moment are the ones that are the king of this series, and no pun intended with Derrick Henry. I understand why Ish decided to go with the Colts, because even though Ish isn't here today, we still have his picks and whatnot. Ish decided to go to the Colts, which is completely understandable. You are at home. Anthony Richardson, of course, getting back on schedule, coming back from the concussion. I completely understand why anybody would take the Colts. Honestly, I would take the Colts because of just how these two teams match up with one another. But for myself, I got to go with the Titans. I think the Titans are playing a lot better football these last couple of weeks. Let's hope it travels to Indy to continue on with the good play that the Titans have continued to do over the last couple of weeks. One thing about the Titans, they do not like making the football schedule easy for themselves. They like falling into holes, falling into traps, to then have to dig themselves out of it to then make a playoff run. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just that's the way they play better, is by playing from behind. Titans do not like being a team that is it has expectations, and we expect certain things from you guys this year. They find a way to fall apart. So maybe if you count them out like Ish is doing tonight, then that hopefully gets you the win for the Tennessee Titans. But for myself, I think they're overall a better team, better veteran makeup on both sides of the ball, and hopefully that should allow them to win this game. The AFC South at the moment is I won't call it a cluster, but it's any man's game at the moment. Every team at the moment is 2 and 2. So of course, depending on how Jacksonville do in London, will of course play down the trickle down effect on how the rest of the standings will play out after, of course, the Titans and the Colts play, and of course later on with the Texans and the Falcons. All right, let's move on to the Saints and the Patriots. This is an interesting matchup here because I pretty much look at it as a pick'em game. New England is a 1-point favorite, and it seems as though the Ish and I pretty much see it as a pick'em game as well too. We were actually talking about this game in the group chat a couple of days ago with a friend of ours named Brett Montgomery Reese, and he asked us about this game and how do we view this game. And if I'm being honest with you, I really didn't know which way to go because I really feel as though at this point in the season, week 5, if you would have asked me week 1, I probably maybe would have picked the Saints. But now at week 5, I honestly am looking at the Saints as in a box of chocolates. I just don't know what I'm going to get out of the Saints week by week at this moment, and it's kind of scary because I feel as though that they have a team that's that's a very good roster on both sides of the ball that can get you to the playoffs at least. I will say that with Kamara coming back, obviously that adds a whole completely different element on the offensive side of the ball that they will exploit and they will get better at moving forward. On the offensive side of the ball, the defense is there. I'm not really too concerned about the defense itself. The Saints, just as a whole, they have to stay away from those injuries, just like any other team, right? But for the Saints, usually the reason why they are not able to move on is they might have that injury bug or, of course, a call that doesn't go their way, and that's another story for another day. I'm pretty sure Saints fans don't want to hear that right now, but for the Saints, if they are able to rally and pull this together, it's only week 5. I mean, they're not out of any race at all. I mean, they're only 2-2. The NFC South is still wide open, so I'm not really too concerned with them and where they're placed at. I just think that they're a better team than what they're showing. But who knows? Maybe this might be the wake-up call that they need. I think with the Patriots being at home, that allows Belichick to have a little bit of Belichick magic playing in New England. And I think that's what allows them to win. I don't think overall they're a better team. I just think because of the way football is on a Sunday in New England, the way that the ball is going to bounce, I just think it bounces towards the Patriots' way. And I think for the Saints, hopefully this might help them to get back on track as a championship caliber type of team. We'll talk a little bit more later on in the show about Alvin Kamara and how I expect the Saints to use him throughout not just this game, but the rest of the season. So be on the lookout for that. But Ish has the Saints. I do have the Patriots. This is the definition of a pick'em game. I think it really can go either way. And knowing those two teams, it could either go 32-6 one way, or it can be 28-25 with a game-ending field goal to win the game for either team. So we'll see how that goes. All righty then. My bad. My son apparently wants to be a part of the show. All right. Ravens and Steelers. We have a lot of, as you can see, a couple of divisional matchups already on the board. Ravens, Steelers, of course, if you know about this matchup in the 2000s and what has started off as into what it is now. Of course, nothing but black and blue, purple and blue. Of course, if you were a Ravens fan, that's just what it is. After these two teams match up, you're going to be bruised up after the game. You're going to be sore. You're going to feel, this matchup within itself. And that's the uniqueness within this matchup is these two teams more so not just that they respect one another, but also that they play respectful in between the lines amongst each other to be able to knock each other out respectfully, to be able to hit somebody hard as hell, but doing it professionally And I think that's one thing that both of these teams have been able to do over the last 25 years with, of course, the different amount of individuals that have gone through the ranks of the Steelers and the Ravens. Of course, there are already some trash talking going on for this week. Of course, the comment that Mike Tomlin talked about with Patrick Queen, he said this actually went back to last year when it comes to Patrick Queen not being a real Raven. Apparently, Patrick Queen taking exception to that, kind of using that as motivation for this upcoming game. This is going to be a good one. I think the Ravens, this is kind of how I look at this game with the last game, is I think the Ravens overall are a better team. I don't think the Steelers are a better team than the Ravens. I just think because of the Steelers being at home, they need this game way more than the Ravens need this game. And also I'm using Adrian Lunsford's words right now when it comes to Mike Tomlin will find a way to get this team ready to go for this game because it's a rivalry game and he can motivate these guys a certain way in this, that, and the third. But this might be a team that it might get worse before it start getting better. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if they do lose this game and they end up going on some type of losing streak or some type of 4 out of 5, 5 out of 6 type of losses. And even though Mike Thomas says that he's not making any changes, there might need to be some changes that are made, obviously to the offensive side of the ball. But if there are not any changes that are made, then there might be some glazing looks amongst the locker room, looking at people sideways and just trying to figure out, okay, well, if we see it and the fans see it and, great granny with a missing eye, she could see it, that was the problem with the Steelers as a whole, then why aren't you as a head coach addressing that and making changes? That unfortunately could be the downfall of Mike Tomlin, not just for this season, but also maybe as a Steelers head coach and moving ahead and seeing what the Steelers are trying to do at that head coaching position. Because talking to Steelers fans, I mean, they are happy and they appreciate these winning seasons, but as a franchise who hangs their hat on winning in the Super Bowl, the Super Bowl is the standard for that franchise, just like it is for a couple other franchises in the NFL. And again, when it being 9-8 in a season is cool and all for maybe a team like the Houston Texans or the Tennessee Titans or the Atlanta Falcons, but it's not the standard that if you are a Pittsburgh Steelers fan that you want to have for your team. All right, Travis Crow, what's up, man? He checks in. He says, "What's good, my friend?" Again, I do apologize in the background if anybody hears all the screaming and fussing. That is my son. He's just fussing because he's hungry. He's about to get fed soon, so do apologize for all that. But we're going to get you guys in and out as soon as we can, so you don't have to hear my son fussing in the background. Texans and Falcons. Surprisingly, we both are on the Texans at the moment. The Falcons, for being honest with you, just too up and down for me. The Texans, I think I like their trajectory. Wouldn't surprise me at all if they do lose this game, but I do like what they are doing over the last couple of weeks. I think what they have been doing carries over to Atlanta. And we'll talk a little bit more about this game later on with my prize picks for today. But overall, I do like the Texans and what they bring and what they are going to bring to the table there in Atlanta. Let's move on to the Panthers and the Lions. Lions come in this game as a 9-point favorite at home, and I think they do more of the same. Unfortunately, I don't think the Panthers will get their first win this week. But if I'm the Lions and you want us to take you seriously, this is one of those games where you have to go ahead and take care of business. Do not play with your food. Go out there and go kill it. Literally, go kill it. Go eat it up. Don't play with it. And you should win this game by no less than 10 points. You should be able to cover the spread, and you should be able to enjoy the rest of your Sunday after winning here at home and go from there. Again, if you're a Lions fan, part of the Lions fan base, if you want us to take you seriously, these are one of those games where you have to take care of business. Dolphins, same situation here. I'm not going to beat a dead horse too much. I'm just going to call it how it is. The Giants are not playing great football, especially on the offensive side of the ball. The Dolphins defensively aren't playing great football. I'm just being honest. It is what it is. Something got to give. I think Daniel Jones surprisingly actually might play decently. decently, as in he plays well enough, but it's just not enough to win. Excuse me. As you can see, the Dolphins are a 12.5 point favorite. I think the Giants actually cover that spread. I don't think that the Dolphins beat these guys by more than 13, not because they're not a better team. It's just, I think the Dolphins got to figure out what the hell's going on with themselves as well, too. Just because you had a guy like Chase Claypool, you know, I look at it honestly just an extra an extra piece to a wide receiver group that really didn't need it. If I'm being honest with you, wouldn't surprise me at all if he's not on the roster by the time the season ends. I know it sounds wild, but I mean, I just Chase Claypool is going to have to figure out very shortly, in a very short time frame, that it might be him. It might not be the Chicago Bears. It might not be the Pittsburgh Steelers. It might be Chase Claypool. Okay, so if he figures that out real soon, he might have an opportunity to stay in the league. But you can't be out here going on podcasts talking about how you top 3 receiver in the NFL. You might not even be top 3 receiver on the Chicago Bears. Okay. All right. With that being said, let's get to the comment section right quick. My boy Greg says, "My dog, you were right about Claypool. LOL. How does he fit in this offense?" I mean, if I'm being honest with you, I mean, he fits in kind of like myself when it comes to if my slow ass was out there with all these 4.3 goddamn burners, I, I'll run a 4.6 on a great day. I mean, that's a great day. On a good day, I'm running a 4.7. So, I mean, with that being said, I'm just looking to get in where I fit in. If I got guys like Tyreek Hill and even Raheem Mostert going on a goddamn passing route, if they out here able to clear out the top, the least I can do is sit in the middle on a dig route or 10-yard hitch route and just wait for a pass so I can be able to, of course, get that catch, make some yak yardage, and go from there. But I don't expect Chase Claypool to come in here and just 100 yards, 150 yards every time he touched the field. Because I mean, for being honest, when's the last time we seen this from Chase Claypool? I mean, it reminds me kind of like with Juju Smith-Schuster when he left Pittsburgh, and everybody was just so hype about him going to go play elsewhere, and he's this guy, he's that guy. When has he ever really showed us that he was that guy? Right? I mean, I don't look at Chase Claypool as a guy that's going to come in and just take the Dolphins to the next level. That's, if I'm being honest with you, I would have expected that more from Robbie, aka Chosen Anderson, to be that guy over Chase Claypool, and they let him go. So we'll see how this all plays out. Bengals versus Cardinals. This game is interesting to me because, and as you guys know, Ish and I don't look at each other's picks until pretty much before we go on the show. And I actually was going to pick the Cardinals. I actually was going to pick the Cardinals for this game, mainly because of the way that the Cardinals have been playing this season so far. Very hard fought football. I don't think the record really shows how good of a team that they are, even though they are 1-3. I feel like they could easily be 2-2, especially the way that the Giants was able to steal one from them, or you can say that with the way the Cardinals let one go. I know however way you want to use that, but for the most part, I like the way that the Cardinals are playing and the way that they are playing. It allows them to stay in games that they probably shouldn't stay in, and that could be this game as well too, because the Bengals really haven't shown us how great they are. Obviously, except for, and even though Joe Burrow right now is just a name, he has to continue to play well. But Joe Burrow, obviously, and then Jamar Chase, a couple of guys on the wide receiver court are banged up a little bit, but for the most part, the Bengals, I think a lot of people are expecting that Super Bowl run Bengals to continue on, and it just has not happened so far for them. Can they get back on track with this game? They come into Arizona as a 3-point favorite. So Vegas sees them as a team that's expected to go in there and win. I expect them to go in there and win. The thing is can the Bengals actually go in there and win? We got to again remind ourselves, we got to take away from what we saw last year and 2 years ago when it comes to what the Bengals have done and judge them solely on this past 4 weeks. And if they can't take care of business here in Arizona, we're going to have to look at the Bengals a little differently and say maybe they are not the contenders for the AFC this upcoming season. And maybe we might go ahead and just wipe our way with them and just move on to next year, because they just seems like maybe they just, because of the way the offseason panned out with Joe Burrow being hurt mainly for the rest of the offseason, it seems as though that it might take them a little bit longer to get revved up and get going than if Joe Burrow was able to get out of the starting gate from week one. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the Eagles and the Rams. Now, if you look at the picks at the moment, I do have the Rams. Ish has the Eagles, and for most people, I'm pretty sure you'll probably say, X, you're crazy. Why would you pick the Rams? I feel the same way. I don't know why I'm picking the Rams at the moment, but I do know that with the NFL and every Sunday we see some type of upset, right? I mean, it's happened every week so far. The Eagles are not going to go undefeated throughout the season. The Eagles are a damn good team. I'm not saying that they're not a good team, but the way that the Rams are just playing right now, the connection with Stafford and Puka. Then you get Cooper Kupp back in as well too. Obviously, that helps tremendously on the offensive side of the ball. I think offensively the Rams are going to be fine. We just obviously have to see how this Rams defense match up with this Eagles offense. And I think this is one of those games where the Eagles are going to like overthink themselves and overthink what they are going to do on the offensive side of the ball. And I think that plays into the Rams' hands on defense to where as long as they make a couple of plays, maybe even turn the ball over once or twice, I think the Rams are going to find a way to win this game, especially being at home. And let's be honest, unfortunately, with LA, it seems as though anytime they have home games, sometimes their visiting teams take over the stadium. This might be one of those situations because Eagles fans do travel and they are everywhere. But overall, I think the Rams are able to take advantage of just the Eagles still trying to figure themselves out for this season as well, too. Again, even though the Eagles are 4-0, it's a little shaky 4-0. I don't think a lot of people will look at that record if you're an Eagles fan and say, I trust in this team like I did last year when they went on their undefeated streak before that streak got broken as well. Jets and Broncos. Woo! This is the week 5 matchup we all been waiting for, right? Jets, Broncos, coach against coach. Of course, the comments that were made in the offseason about Nathaniel Hackett from Sean Payton. Very interesting how that will all rear its head for this game. Of course, this game is one of those late afternoon slots at 3:30 or, of course, 4:30, depending on where you are on which coast to coast. But as we know about this game, this was hopefully going to be, of course, a game of quarterbacks against quarterback, Aaron Rodgers versus Russell Wilson. And, of course, Sean Payton versus Nathaniel Hackett, even though Nathaniel Hackett is a quarterback coach. It is what it is. It's just about selling tickets. Everybody just want to sell tickets and all that fun stuff. So we try to make it seem like we're going to go against each other when they're not. And with that being said, for myself, I really do want to pick the Jets. I just don't know how much I trust in Zach Wilson to be able to go into Denver to win this game. Zach Wilson has been playing so much better. Zach Wilson overall confidence has grown tremendously since the start of the season. But for the Broncos, this is a game for you, Sean Payton, to show everybody that, hey, all that mess I was talking in the offseason, I was right. Or you can prove to everybody else that you don't know what the hell you're doing since the last time you've started, or last time you got done coaching. And it might not be a Russell Wilson fault. Maybe it might be a Sean Payton fault. Who knows? Maybe it might not be just a Sean Payton fault. It might not be just Russell. Maybe it might be both their asses. Maybe both of them might need to go ahead and get the hell out of Denver. And that Walmart family group of owners can go ahead and give them a nice little payday. Go ahead and move on out of there. You bring in a new group of folks. Quarterback class is very, very heavy this upcoming draft as well. Wouldn't surprise me at all if one of these offensive coordinators find the way to become a head coach due to the quarterback that a team like the Broncos, team like the Chicago Bears, maybe even obviously the Arizona Cardinals decide to go with. So it'd be interesting to see how this all plays out. But I look at it like this for the Broncos. If you don't win this game and you go on a streak where you're not taking care of business, maybe Sean Payton is this season's Urban Meyer. Maybe Sean Payton is up out of there before the season even ends. I don't think it happens. I think he has too much respect amongst the league, but again, the league doesn't employ you. It's only one team. And if that Walmart group says, "Hey, Sean, you haven't gotten it done like we hoped you would," and also Russell Wilson, it wouldn't surprise me at all if they go ahead and scrap it and say, "We're going to go ahead and start all over." Kind of like what the Cardinals did after they drafted Josh Rosen, and they said, "Forget it. We're going to go ahead and move on with Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury." It's not like it's unheard of. It's something that can happen and will happen. We just have to see how it all plays out. George Arietta, as you can see, it's Sunday, so he has to represent that football, baby. It's Sunday football, and of course, shout out to his Houston Astros with the win last night against the Minnesota Twins. The Chiefs and the Vikings will go against each other, of course, on this late afternoon slate as well, too, which I think is going to be one of those better games. I think it's going to be one of those, might be the best game of the night besides Cowboys 49ers. Hopefully, if that lives up to the hype. But I think this game is going to be a very good game to watch and take a look into, because I think we're going to see about both of these teams. Chiefs are 3-1, Vikings are 1-3. We're kind of used 2 years ago to the Vikings kind of working themselves out of a hole. Last year, they were in front and ahead of making sure that they won games that were within one possessions and not lose these games like they are so accustomed to doing before the year prior. Starting out of the season, Vikings obviously are not where they want to be at 1-3, but I think that they are able to find themselves back into the mix of the playoffs. So I'm not really too concerned with them. For the Chiefs, I think for them, this is a game that they don't really need to have to win. Early in the season, they'll find a way to do what the Chiefs do. They'll find a way to win the division and go on their playoff run. So I'm not really too concerned with them losing this game. I look at this game as the Vikings needing this game more than the Chiefs. I don't think that the Vikings overall are a better team than Chiefs. I just look at it as, hey, they are at home. This is a game that you got to win. We got to take care of business. Also, if you win this game, it helps bring the morale a little bit back up. It helps with just the overall mood of the team as well, too. For the Vikings, they got to get Cam Akers going on that running game so it can open up everything else on that offensive side of the ball. And also for the Vikings defense, you got to learn how to stop somebody. I mean, Kirk Cousins, he can't play everything, and really it's not even a Kirk Cousins point at this, situation at this point in time right now. It's really just, can the defense step up and stop somebody when you need to stop somebody? If they can do that, I think that they can upset the Chiefs, quote unquote, upset, because I don't think it's an upset, even though the Chiefs are a favorite. Again, as long as they take care of business, wouldn't surprise me at all if they come out with that dub. All righty then, Cowboys 49ers for the primetime slate on Sunday Night Football. It's about time that these two teams have been able to play each other on primetime, apparently first time since 1990, which is very surprising because of the amount of times that they played each other in the playoffs. You would expect them to maybe have matched up at least one primetime game throughout the last 5 to 10 years, but here we are. And for whatever reason, I was seeing online that some people feel as though that this isn't a rivalry because for whatever reason, again, the Niners, I guess, have been beating up on the Cowboys a couple of times, but this is a rivalry. I mean, I know it really is not what it used to be in its heyday in the 90s, but when these two teams are good, when these two teams are playing well, and they decide to clash with one another, I'm tuning in. I mean, this is one of those. It's not old school like Bears and Packers and Raiders and Niners and things of that nature. But when it comes to the amount of high profile stars that are on the field dating back from the 90s to where we are now, from all the positions, from offense side of the ball, defense side of the ball. I mean, this is going to be a game where you need to tune in. This is going to be a game where if all the celebrities are at a game for this weekend, if Taylor Swift want to go and check out a game, after she checks out the Chiefs and Vikings game, go ahead and head down to San Francisco to go watch this one, because I think this one will be a doozy. Ish and X has the 49ers at the moment. Christian McCaffrey is going into the game with a 13 consecutive game touchdown streak. Will he keep that streak alive? Please let us know if he decides to go ahead and make it into the end zone against the Cowboys. I think he's able to extend it to 14, but that Cowboys defense is a pretty damn good one. We'll still have to continue to see how this defense is going to play without Trayvon Diggs. That first week it looked a little rough. Kind of got things back going last week. Let's see how they are able to match up with the 49ers. Of course, big news from the 49ers last couple of days. They were able to trade for Randy Gregory, so it beats up that defensive line. For whatever reason, I think people kind of took my words and ran from it on social media, but I wasn't stating it as the 49ers should go ahead and win the Super Bowl now because you traded for Randy Gregory. I look at it as it's the rich getting richer. They didn't need Randy Gregory, but adding him, that can help tenfold later on in the season, to where if somebody for their defensive line gets hurt, you can put Randy Gregory in there and you know that he's a capable veteran. He knows what he's doing. You know you can get production out of him instead of putting in a guy that's either a rookie or a late round draft pick that's been in the league for 3 or 4 years and you don't know if you can rely on him or not. That's why I looked at that trade as a very great pickup for the 49ers. One thing about the 49ers and their organization, they are going to be aggressive. They've been aggressive since John Lynch got there. They're going to do any and everything every season long to make sure that they are in contention and find a way to get to the playoffs. And, of course, the ultimate goal is, of course, reaching a Super Bowl and winning that damn thing. And for right now, the Niners, I've had the Eagles as the best team for like the last 4 weeks. Right now, it's the Niners. And if they are able to do what they need to do Sunday night, I think bar none, they are the best team in the NFL if they're able to take care of the Cowboys at home. And as well, if you guys see, we have a couple of teams on bye week. You have the Cleveland Browns, LA Chargers, Seattle Seahawks, and Tampa Bay Buccaneers that are on bye weeks at the moment. So if you are on fantasy, please make sure you go ahead and readjust your lineup so you can, of course, not have one of your guys on a bye week starting in that starting position. Not that guy. I had to switch out Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert, he's my guy. I had to switch him out for Mr. Matthew Stafford. So I'm hoping that we get a couple of dollars here for fantasy football. All right, before we get up out of here, though, speaking of a couple of dollars, if I was a betting man, and of course, this is all promo by Prize Picks. And if you want to go ahead and get you a little couple extra dollars, you can use our promo code at PR-JVA61. PN, that is again PR-JVA61PN, and that will allow you to get a couple of extra $25 if you decide to use my promo code and deposit anything up from $1 all the way to $100. You get your free $25 from Prize Picks. So with that being said, for my 4 picks for this weekend, for if I was a betting man, now I don't know about you guys, but I feel as though this one is a winner. It has to be a winner. If this isn't a winner, then like I say pretty much every week here, I just don't know what to do anymore. Because this is easy money. This is easy money. If it's not easy money, then I don't know what to do. CJ Stroud, I got to go ahead and take him because he's been balling these last couple of weeks, and he is showing so far that this ain't a fluke. Do not sweat the technique. This is what I do. You can talk what you want to talk about all the previous Ohio State quarterbacks. I am not him. I am him, if you know what I mean. Right now, I have CJ Stroud going over 246.5 passing yards. I also have Alvin Kamara going over 4.5 receptions. Last week was his first game back. I was kind of hesitant on picking Kamara when it comes to receptions last week because I just didn't know how they're going to utilize him. His over-under for receptions last week was 3.5. He actually had 12 receptions. So I'm assuming that the New Orleans Saints are going to be using him kind of similar to that moving forward. The receptions over-under is at 4.5. I got to take the over because I expect him to have at least 4 to 5 grabs. So I'll take that over. Mac Jones, I have him at under 210.5. Passing yardage for him, mainly because not that, again, he's a bad quarterback. I'm just looking at the matchup when it comes to when it comes to playing against the Saints. My apologies. That defensive front, especially with Cam Jordan and the Mario Davis in the linebacker position, I just think that they're going to make things very, very rough and tough for Mac Jones. Also with that wide receiver group as well, too, does not help him at all. I think Mac Jones does get close to it, 198, 102, almost probably close to 200 yards, but I don't think he gets over 210. If he does, then I guess Mac Jones is pretty much says, forget me and my prize picks, and I don't care about what you picking X today. So we'll see what happens with that. And then also to wrap it up with Nico Collins. I've already been burnt by him throughout the season so far, especially beginning of the season, because I just didn't know how they were going to use him. And so far, it looks like they are definitely using him. Projected over the last 3 weeks, he's gone over receptions and also targets. So if you want to look at either receptions or targets when it comes to picking for Nico Collins moving forward, you might be able to win either with one of those, either receptions or targets. I have him over 4.5 at the moment because I'm expecting at least about 5 to 6 catches from Nico Collins from tonight. Travis Crow says, I'm going to send you my picks on Prize Picks. Let me see. Well, hopefully we can win us some monies. And also, Kobe Gardner says, what's Jonathan Taylor's carries at? That's a great question. I know I want to say last time I seen it, his receptions, I want to say it was about at 3.5 or 4.5. So again, depending on how the Colts want to use them. And I will also say too, I just don't know. That's when it comes to a guy coming back midseason, I'm kind of scared on how to use him because of when it comes to picking either fantasy or betting, because I just don't know how the team is going to use him, right? They could throw him right into the fire and do everything from the beginning when it comes to picking up, I guess, if it was week 1 and you've had training camp, they could do that. But I don't know if they're going to do that for the Colts and for Jonathan Taylor. So see what happens. At the moment, though, Kobe, for Jonathan Taylor, only selections they have for Jonathan Taylor is rushing yards and also rushing yards within the first 5 attempts. So rushing yards right now, 46.5. Rushing yards within the first 5 attempts is 18.5. They are playing against the Tennessee Titans, which is a damn good defense. But one thing I do know about these two teams, when they match up, just throw the stats away, throw everything away, because these two teams, I don't know. I watch these damn two teams play against each other every time, and I just don't know how to really describe it, because the one time you go into a game thinking that, hey, it's going to be this way, it's the complete opposite. So I'm kind of hesitant on that 46.5 for Jonathan Taylor, because I just don't know where his legs are at right now. I don't know. So for me, I would stay away from that. If he shows up and he shows out and he's running for at least minimum 50 yards, and that's something maybe I can take in count for next week to say, okay, Jonathan Taylor, if the line's at 48.5, 49, I think he can bounce back and continue on doing another 50-yard type of game performance and go from there. All right, with that being said, I appreciate you guys for tuning in on a Sunday morning to check out our preview picks for this Sunday slate. I'm going to get back to the second half of this Bills game and, of course, go check in on my son and see if he wants to quiet it down from all this screaming. We will be back, of course, on Tuesday to recap the week slate of games. And, of course, Ish will be back to join us as well, too. We appreciate y'all for tuning in. We will see y'all